Right now at 11, stranded in the snow. How a quick-thinking driver launched a drone in order to call for help. Plus, it's an abandoned Kmart with a plan in the works to bring business back. Why some neighbors in this part of Portland say it may make things worse.
The nerve of them thinking to put something like that in that would be right across from the high school.
Then later, finding new ways to reach struggling students.
They're coming with concerns about friendships, managing big emotions, problem solving.
How school counselors are changing the mental health landscape and helping kids cope.
This is KGW News at 11.
Well, good evening, and first at 11, yet another sign winter has not given up quite yet, with a short snow shower hitting parts of the metro area earlier tonight. You're looking at the view from Portland's West Hills, where some of it was sticking on the sides of the roads. That alongside pictures of the big flakes coming down everywhere from West Lynn to Vancouver. And this was just the cap, we'll call it, to a fascinating weather day. So let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Matt Zaffino. Matt, we had a little bit of everything today. Where do we start?
Yeah, it was a wild one. We had thunderstorms or even reports of a funnel cloud up around Bald Peak, although nothing touching down, one of those cold air funnel clouds. This is what it looked like on I-5 as the rain was turning to snow this evening. Big wet flakes. And this is in southwest Portland where they were coming down. They was like $half size snowflakes. It was pretty impressive as they were falling there. What happened is we had this line of showers move on through right at the right time as temperatures were cooling with the evening. We're 37 right now, so hasn't warmed up a lot, but it's raining at the airport at the moment. So this is it. This is that band of showers that moved north. Still snowing across a good part of Clark County right now. It'll continue to move north and weaken. In most places that had, a half an inch of slush, I saw a little bit of snow accumulating on some cars. It's already melted away, so that's it. You can see there's really not much more behind this, but it will be cool enough tonight if we get additional bands of precipitation forming in the morning. There's some indications we will. Then we could see a similar situation where we get a quick little half inch of slushy snow in the valley floor, but we're not looking at anything like what we saw a couple weeks ago, of course. This was the thunderstorm threat for tomorrow. It has been removed, so really the threat of getting thunderstorms tomorrow pretty low. But we had hail today. We had lightning. I mentioned the funnel cloud. I'll have more pictures for you and, of course, the forecast in a bit. David, back to you.
All right. Thank you, Matt. Let's get the fear and frustration now in Northeast Portland, where many in the Argate Terrace neighborhood say they feel blindsided by plans to turn an abandoned big box store into a giant distribution warehouse. Catherine Cook's in the newsroom tonight. Catherine, it sounds like people in that community are not against redevelopment, just this particular version of it.
Yeah, David, we're talking about the old Kmart store on Northeast 122nd and Sandy. It's been vacant since 2018, an ever-devolving eyesore with no takers until now.
Cyclone fencing surrounds the old Kmart building on Northeast 122nd and Sandy. Looking at it now, it's tough to imagine what the property once was. But what it may become,
my concern is just for my neighbors and my community here,
is upsetting many who live in and around this neighborhood. California-based company Prologis plans to turn the site into a 260,000 square foot freight distribution warehouse. Not quite the dream of revitalization many here have had.
And so, the idea of that being blighted by a 38 bay diesel truck transfer station just blows my mind, honestly.
Braylon Deal Erickson lives in Maywood Park, not far from the warehouse site. He started this petition on change.org opposing the warehouse project. After 1 week, nearly 3,000 people had signed it. Braylon's top concerns are pollution from all the diesel trucks and safety, especially for kids. This map shows just how close the proposed site is to Park Rose High School, Park Rose Middle School, and several sports fields. All of it right across the street.
Those fields are in use all the time.
Kate Lamb's grandkids attend Park Rose schools.
This area already has the highest levels of diesel emissions, and we just don't need any more. We are a food desert and a restaurant desert down here, for sure. And I know the community would support something like that.
Prologis hopes the community will support their vision once they learn more about it. That includes plans to spend $39 million on redeveloping the property, which they say would be LEED certified. They're also planning street improvements to increase pedestrian safety. That includes room for a 6-foot bike lane and a 6-foot sidewalk along 122nd. Prologis shared a statement with KGW that read in part, We are making a significant investment to convert the idle, vacant site and build a modern, sustainable logistics facility that will create new jobs and support the local economy. We will continue to engage with the community on this project, which is zoned for industrial use, including any concerns around traffic, and work with the city to obtain the necessary approvals.
It's not a done deal. They can't do anything until they get the permits.
Kate and other neighbors say until that happens, they'll keep fighting plans for a warehouse and holding on to the dream of something more for where they live.
You know, North Portland, where I work, they get a green zebra and a New Seasons Market. We get a diesel transfer station. It doesn't feel equitable.
The Park Row School Board has not stayed silent on this issue. Chair Elizabeth Durant tells me they too are concerned about health and safety impacts on students. Last month, the board asked the city to issue an emergency moratorium on developing logistics warehouses in East Portland that are bigger than 250,000 square feet. And that's similar to what the city of Vancouver just did, so they can study the impact of those facilities. David.
We'll see what happens. Catherine Cook reporting. Thanks, Catherine. Let's get you caught up on tonight's other headlines now. A man has been arrested for allegedly attacking a MAX train passenger. Police say the suspect was first spotted throwing rocks at passing trains near Northeast Sandy and 33rd Monday afternoon. Then an hour later, that same person assaulted a rider on board. Transit police arrested 35-year-old Johnny Moan at 2 blocks away from there. Moan faces a list of charges that include assault, mischief, and criminal trespass. We have an update tonight on last summer's extreme heat. The Multnomah County Medical Examiner has officially confirmed that 5 people died as a result of heat waves in July and August. That is down from 8 suspected deaths originally reported. Officials say 4 of the deaths occurred in home with no air conditioning, while 1 person was homeless. In Idaho, the legislature is moving forward with a bill to criminalize adults who take minors across state lines for an abortion without parental consent. Now, some supporters say it's meant to protect the rights of parents, while some opponents say it would put vulnerable young people looking for help at risk. Now, the bill passed the House today and now heads to the Senate. And back in Oregon, we have a rescue to tell you about in Lane County where a man stranded in the snow was saved thanks to his drone. Now, Sheriff Search and Rescue says the man got stuck in his vehicle on a remote forest road where he did not have cell service. So he typed out a text to a friend describing where he was, attached his phone, hit send, and then launched the drone. The text got out once it was up there. Rescue crews eventually moved in. And on the way, they found another driver who'd been stranded for days in the snow and rescued them as well. What a story. Well, he is known as the jogger rapist, and tonight 2 of the victims of Richard Gilmore, who was recently released from prison, are speaking out. Those survivors are advocating for changes to Oregon laws they say will better protect the public. And as Mike Benner reports tonight, some of this has to do with determining a sex offender's so-called risk level when they're let out.
It affects you forever.
A tearful Tiffany Edens reflects on her rape at the hands of Richard Gilmore, who was released from his 36-year prison sentence back in December. In fact, you might recall Edens putting up flyers in the Old Town neighborhood, where Gilmore moved into transitional housing as a low-level sex offender. Edens said then, and again Tuesday in Salem, Gilmore is a danger.
He will kill the next victim. He will kill that girl.
That's why Edens and Danielle Tudor, another victim of Gilmore's, worked with state lawmakers on Senate Bills 1022 and 1023. Senate Bill 1022 would require the state to consider almost everything when assigning a risk level to a sex offender, not just what was admissible in court. The bill, among other things, would also require the state to do a better job of letting the public know where a sex offender lives.
These are rapists, they're sex offenders, they're child abusers.
Not enough can be done, Edens says, to protect the public, and Tudor agrees. Gilmore raped her but was never prosecuted for it because it fell outside the statute of limitations at the time. Senate Bill 1023 calls for people like Tudor to be considered a victim and given access to information about their attackers, something Tudor struggled with upon Gilmore's release late last year.
This bill really tackles all the obstacles that we ran into.
Both Tudor and Edens alike say there should be no obstacles when it comes to something like this, and they hope lawmakers on both sides of the aisle see it that way too.
This is not a party issue. I hope that everybody can come on board with this because this is really a community issue and a society issue.
I'm Mike Benner for KGW News.
New tonight, the Hillsboro Hops are hoping to expand their facilities and Ron Tonkin Field. The proposal came up tonight in a city council meeting. It comes after the Hops moved up into High A baseball and agreed to upgrade that stadium to meet MLB standards. So they're considering a couple of options. One would renovate the existing stadium. A second plan would build a new stadium in the same area. The reno would include additional sports fields in that complex.
There's ways we can use this for softball purposes moving forward, for additional soccer purposes moving forward, in all sorts of ways. And so I'm actually really excited to figure out how to reimagine Ron Tonkin Field and what that looks like in the future.
Well, the Hops are now asking the city to contribute $18 million to the project. We expect to hear more on the plan from the team during a news conference tomorrow.